The U.S. Navy is currently the largest and most capable Navy that is deployed both over national and international waters. The U.S. Navy boasts a large number of aircraft carriers that contain some of the most latest defense technology that you would not find anywhere else in the world. These aircraft carriers are always on high alert, so that they are ready to deploy any one of the 60 ships that they have on board. To maintain such a fluid workflow, where the entire shop is alert at all times, the crew must work long and strenuous hours, even up to 12 hours without rest. This would tire out any reasonable human being, so to keep up morale and spirits, the U.S. Navy often employs familiar brands and stores on board the ship so that the crew may have a slice of home on the ship. So what kind of crazy stores are run by the Navy on U.S. aircraft carriers? And who operates these stores? The U.S. Navy, being one of the most efficient military forces in the world, has to have an ever-ready force of manpower to make sure that their capabilities are ready to deploy at a moment's notice. For this to be possible, the manpower on board must have both sufficient nutrition and, most importantly, high morale. Maintaining morale is one of the most important jobs the Navy has to do, as there is a direct correlation between the efficiency of the Navy aircraft carrier and the level of morale. To make sure the morale of the crew stays high on long deployments, the Navy tries to replicate some of the comforts of home on the ship itself. And what's more comforting than being able to sip a hot coffee or have a decent meal after a long day? So to have these amenities available to the crew, the Navy has some crazy stores that you wouldn't expect to see on an aircraft carrier. The first store that you can see on a Navy aircraft carrier is a coffee shop, just like the ones you would see back in your hometown. Believe it or not, the coffee shop is Starbucks. Sailors would usually have to rely on their ration coffee back in the old days. But today, a sailor can make sure that he can unwind or start up his day the right way with a great cup of coffee in the morning. This Starbucks has everything you would find in an ordinary Starbucks. Unlike what you think, it's not just plain old coffee or ration coffee with a Starbucks logo that's been slapped on it. It's the real deal. The sailors who staff the shop have been trained by Starbucks themselves and taught all the techniques necessary to make the signature specialties that Starbucks is known for. Starbucks has trained the crew in such a manner they can recreate all the drinks you would find in the original shop using the same ingredients, methods, and techniques. Although Starbucks is known to be on the rather expensive end of coffee, the sailors can get their cup of joes at a subsidized rate made only available to sailors on the ship. The next amenity that sailors can avail of is the facility of shopping at an in-house grocery store. Isn't that amazing? Sailors have the choice of buying various things like items for personal care, snacks, milk, etc. Now, don't think that this store is as big as your local Walmart or Target. It's a small store that can host only a few sailors at a time. So, on a day when the store has a heavy rush, sailors have to wait outside in the passageway patiently so that they get their turn to shop. Once inside, just like any other grocery store, you can find several rows of products all stacked and lined up neatly by the crew that runs the store. Once you grab your basket and take all the products you need, you can head to the checkout where you can use your specially assigned Navy cash card. There is only one form of currency on board the ship, and it is this card. The Navy cash card is a debit card that is directly connected to their checking account, which makes sure that sailors don't need to worry about carrying cash or their original cards in a place as hectic as the aircraft carrier. The card even supports chip-to-chip transfer. The money that is spent on board the ship at Starbucks and this grocery store goes back into circulation among the sailors via morale, recreation, and welfare efforts. Well, what more could the Navy possibly do to keep up morale, you ask? You'll soon find out. Another amenity that sailors can avail of is the numerous vending machines that are available to the sailors who only want to buy a thing or two. Some other stores that are available on board the ship are food kiosks and even barbershops. All of these amenities are manned by retail service specialists who are servicemen currently deployed to this wing. Their stores play a fundamental role in making sure the morale of all the sailors is at high levels. But with the servicemen and women working such long hours, it becomes impossible to truly relax at these stores. Realizing this, the Navy has come up with the idea of a beach day without the beach. The Steel Beach Picnic is an idea that the Navy has come up with to make sure that their hardworking men and women truly have a day to relax. Depending on their schedule and employment, a day is chosen when the entire crew of the ship That's right, the entire crew is allowed to gather in the hangar to have a day of fun, games, and even a barbecue. How amazing! It's just like home. This is how the money spent in the stores, coffee shops, and barbershops comes back to repay the soldiers. During a Steel Beach picnic, you can see all the sailors engaging in 100 different activities on deck, from playing sports and cooking to just having fun dancing. It's all there and it's all happening. It's the one day that sailors truly get to do what they want and not what the Navy wants before returning to a hectic schedule and long shifts. There is a certain rule on board Navy vessels that are deployed. That is, no alcohol is to be stored or consumed while deployed. This is to ensure that none of the sailors are inebriated during their duty. But on this special occasion, the captain himself may make an exception and request a beer day. This beer day usually happens on the same day as a Steel Beach picnic. It is the one time you can see usually morbid faces lighten up as they crack open a cold one and just have a conversation with their friends. When you see how these people lighten up and just have some fun for a day, you forget how mentally tough and physically formidable each of these people is. And the crazy part is that once all these festivities are over, everyone has to go back to the duties they have been assigned and become those highly efficient, almost robotic people they have been tasked with being. As the sun sets on a great day, the crew begins cleaning up in preparation for the next day, as the hangar bay needs to be clear for tomorrow. When all of the crew are done cleaning up, they retire for the night and wake up and push on with their duties. Thankfully, they still have a coffee shop if their hangover is too bad, a grocery store if they need something, and even a barber shop if they think they need to shave or get a haircut. The availability of these amenities is what keeps morale up, and that's why these crazy stores in the middle of the ocean are necessary to make sure that the U.S. Navy's aircraft carriers are always ready for duty. So if you have enjoyed watching how sailors keep their morale up, make sure to like this video and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more.